Have you ever imagined being betrayed by the person you love most? Prepare to step into a gripping, breathtaking story where secrets, hatred, and love intertwine. Don't take your eyes off it, even for a second, because the shocking truth will be revealed at the very end. Ethan was born into a family where he should have received fair love from both his father and mother, but for some unknown reason, his mother was particularly biased toward his younger brother Ryan. From the time Ryan was babbling his first words, Ethan had already noticed that everything in the house was arranged to favor this mischievous little brother. Though Ethan's heart yearned for affection, he was forced to learn to grow up faster than his peers. He became independent, introspective, and found solace in studying to ease the feelings of hurt within his family. In contrast to Ethan's quiet nature, Ryan was a lively, cunning boy who always wanted to be the center of attention. Whenever Ryan pulled a prank, Ethan's mother not only refrained from scolding him, but also saw it as childish nature, encouraging Ryan to keep up his antics beyond acceptable limits. This gradually led Ryan to develop a tendency to bully his older brother, pushing Ethan into countless uncomfortable situations. From petty tricks like hiding notebooks or stealing pocket money to more dangerous stunts, all of it left Ethan miserable throughout his childhood. Yet, whenever Ethan complained or tried to defend himself, his mother would find excuses to justify Ryan's actions. His father worked far away and often came home late, so most family matters were handled by his mother. And handling here essentially meant defending Ryan while treating Ethan as the troublemaker. Golden sunlight bathed the yard where Ethan and Ryan were running around playing. At first, they seemed so close. Ryan flashed an innocent smile, holding a ball out to his brother. Ethan smiled back, gently taking it. At a glance, anyone would think this was a heartwarming moment between siblings. Ryan grinning, raising his voice, "Ethan, pass it back to me." Ethan nodding, "All right, get ready." Ethan tossed the ball toward Ryan, but then, unexpectedly, Ryan stepped back, letting the ball roll aimlessly onto the cement. He pouted, looking displeased, and jutted his chin. Ryan in a sulky tone, "How am I supposed to catch that? You threw it too far on purpose, didn't you?" Instantly, Ethan's expression flickered. He opened his mouth to explain, but held back, knowing that no matter what he said, Ryan would find a way to blame him. As Ethan bent down to pick up the ball, he was suddenly nudged from behind by Ryan, causing him to stumble. Ethan startled. "Hey, what are you doing?" Ryan smirking. "Nothing. Just messing around a little." But that was only the beginning of a tense afternoon. The lovely ball game quickly turned into a tug-of-war, with Ryan relentlessly teasing and tripping Ethan, making him fall and scrape his knee. The pain made Ethan burst into tears while Ryan casually laughed it off, running inside to tattle to their mother that Ethan's crying like a baby. Ryan's pranks grew increasingly malicious, planting a deep sense of injustice in Ethan. One day, Ethan returned to his room after a late study session. His books were still on the desk, but his cherished diary had been flipped open. The pages filled with his private thoughts were crumpled in places. Outside the door, Ryan was snickering wickedly as if he'd just discovered something amusing. Ethan panicked, lifting the diary. "Ryan, have you read this?" Ryan shrugging, voice brash. "Yeah, I read it. Just a bunch of boring stuff about school and friends. Lame." Ethan's anger flared, his heart pounding. He pointed straight at Ryan. "Ethan, this is my personal stuff. You have no right to touch it." Ryan raising an eyebrow. "Right? You always act so high and mighty, but I don't care. I do what I want." With that, Ryan waved a hand and dashed downstairs. Ethan chased after him, determined to demand justice, just as their mother stepped out from the kitchen. Ryan quickly tattled. Ryan fake crying, "Mom, Ethan wrote bad things about me in his diary. He said I'm always tormenting him." Mother surprised, looking at Ethan. "Ethan, what did you write to make Ryan cry like this?" Ethan flustered, face flushed. Mum, I didn't make anything up. It's just my personal diary. Ryan had no right to read it. Mother sighing, patting Ryan's head. All right, you're brothers. Be careful what you write. Ryan's just carefree. Don't be too hard on him. You're the older one. You should give in to your brother. Ethan's chest burned with frustration. He stood there, frozen, unable to believe his mother was once again siding with Ryan. The helplessness sank deep, creating a crack in his bond with his family. The next morning, Ethan woke up quietly and headed to the kitchen for breakfast. His familiar cereal was the energy boost he needed to start the day. But as he poured milk into the bowl, he flinched when something hard clinked against his spoon. Fishing it out, he froze. It wasn't just a pebble, but a mix of small gravel pieces. Ethan wide-eyed, muttering, "What is this? It can't be a mistake." Ethan stormed up to Ryan's room, where his brother was lounging, pretending to scroll on his phone. A surge of betrayal and fury made Ethan want to shout. Ethan, furious, grabbing Ryan's arm. "Did you put gravel in my cereal box? Do you know how dangerous that is?" Ryan shrugging, calm. "Oh, come on, it's just some rocks. You just need to look carefully before eating. I was only joking to wake you up a bit." Ryan's tone was taunting, as if it were all a harmless game. Ethan was speechless, his heart racing. He let go of Ryan's arm and ran downstairs to tell their mother. This time, the real fear of getting hurt made Ethan hope for some adult support. Mother hearing Ethan's account. "What? Ryan put gravel in your cereal?" Ethan upset. "Yes, I almost bit into it this morning. Mom, please talk to him." "This isn't fun." Mother waving it off, chuckling. "Oh heavens, it's just siblings playing around. Don't take it to heart. Ryan was just being silly," remind him gently. Her response plunged Ethan into despair once more. He couldn't convince her this was serious. The ongoing unfairness made Ethan gradually shut off his emotions, swallowing his tears and telling himself to be stronger to withstand Ryan's bullying. Time passed and Ethan grew up. He poured his mind into studying, reading, and escaping into his own world to forget the harsh reality. Each night, as the house fell silent, Ethan would sit at his desk, focusing on math problems, or writing pages of soul-searching entries in his diary. He aimed for a future far from this place, where injustice was the norm. Meanwhile, Ryan continued basking in his mother's favoritism. His eyes brimmed with confidence whenever he glanced at Ethan, as if silently saying, "You can't do anything to me." The disparity grew starker. When their mother assigned chores, Ethan had to do it all. Watering plants, cleaning rooms, washing dishes. Ryan would sometimes pretend to sweep a few strokes with a broom before retreating to his room to play video games. If Ethan complained, their mother would say, "You're the older one, set an example for your brother." Ryan would smirk triumphantly, reveling in being indulged. One evening after school, Ethan had to work on an important presentation for the next day. He'd just opened PowerPoint when his mother called from the kitchen, mother loudly, demanding, "Ethan, come down and help me clear the dinner table, quick." Ethan hesitating, closing his laptop. "Yes, I'm coming." He felt a twinge of irritation seeing Ryan sprawled on the sofa, scrolling his phone, but didn't dare say anything. Ethan told himself, "Just a few more hours until the deadline. I have to finish by midnight." But as soon as he finished clearing the table, his mother added, "Mother, there's still the trash outside. Take it to the curb for the garbage truck, Ethan." Ethan trying to stay calm. "Mom, why not ask Ryan? I'm really pressed for time." Mother glaring slightly. "Ryan's busy. He's been tired all day. Do it quickly and then study. Don't argue with me." Ethan turned away, eyes welling up. He knew arguing would only anger her or, worse, lead to a lecture about not yielding to your brother. As he dragged the trash bin, his heart felt crushed. He wondered if he was truly her son. Why did every demand, every responsibility, every burden fall on him. Late that night, Ethan slumped over his desk, eyes sunken from lack of sleep. His presentation was still unfinished. The door creaked open, and his father stepped in under the dim glow of the desk lamp. His father, often away for work and returning late, rarely saw the family dynamics unfold. This time, he'd come home earlier than usual and noticed Ethan's light still on. Father, deep voice, concerned, "It's late, why are you still studying?" Ethan startled, hiding his exhaustion. "I have an important presentation tomorrow, Dad." Father nodding gently. "Tired, son? You've lost weight lately. Your mum says you're diligent, but don't overdo it." Ethan looked at his father, feeling a rare warmth from family, yet he didn't dare mention Ryan or their mother's favoritism. To Ethan, his father seemed like an outsider to the story, rarely witnessing the daily injustices. Ethan forcing a smile, "I'm fine, Dad. I want to work hard for a scholarship to ease the burden on you and Mom later." Father sighing softly, "You're a good kid, Ethan. If anything's troubling you, tell me. Don't bottle it up." Ethan gazed at his father, a urge to pour his heart out rising within, but he stayed silent, nodding faintly. He knew even if his father learned the truth, his mother would find ways to excuse Ryan. After years of unfairness, Ethan no longer believed in change. His only goal now was a distant future where he could leave. One Saturday noon, after Ethan finished cleaning the house as per his mother's orders, he decided to step into the garden for some exercise to relieve stress. As he stepped onto the porch, he heard Ryan's mocking laughter. Ryan, arms crossed, leaning on the door. "Working out again? Think that'll make you tough?" Ethan, eyes flashing anger. "What's your problem? I just want to stay healthy." Ryan clapping sarcastically, sneering. "I suggest you train your mind instead. Always bowing your head, whining about Mom favoring me. Why not try being fun for once? Life's great." Each word from Ryan dripped with taunts. Ethan clenched his fists, pulse racing. He took a deep breath to steady himself. Ethan, voice trembling. "How long will you keep provoking me? You're grown up. Why do you still act like a kid?" Ryan smirking, stepping closer. "Act like a kid? I'm just enjoying life. If Mom doesn't mind, what right do you have to interfere?" Ryan's reply was the last straw. Ethan recalled every cruel prank, every near injury. His breathing quickened. He'd wanted to fight back so many times, but seeing his mother's eyes always held him back, telling himself, "Don't cause more trouble." But this time, his limit was breached. Ethan, loud, emotional, You've made my childhood hell. All the times you humiliated me, put rocks in my food, stole my money, read my diary. You never apologized, never felt remorse. And Mom ignored it all." Ryan shouting back, taunting, "So what? If you can't protect yourself, deal with it. Who told you to be so weak?" Years of pent-up grievance surged, and Ethan nearly swung at Ryan. But he stopped himself. Violence was never his choice. His mind spun with rage and pain. He just wanted to escape this house where he'd always been oppressed. That confrontation made Ethan realize one thing. If he didn't stand up for himself, no one would. The future he dreamed of leaving this toxic family for a fairer life was drawing near. Ethan resolved to ace his exams for a prestigious university far away, escaping Ryan's shadow. Though young, he knew this was his only path. After years of enduring oppression and unfairness, Ethan finally glimpsed hope when he got into his dream university. Despite carrying scars from the past, he was determined to start a brighter chapter where he could build his own happiness. Above all, he longed for a family founded on love, respect, and honesty, things he'd lacked in his youth. Ethan boarded a long-distance bus with just one suitcase and a face full of both anxiety and hope. The glaring sun slanted through the window, illuminating the resolute eyes of the young man. He glanced back at the old house fading into the distance, where his mother and Ryan remained steeped in their toxic thoughts and actions. He sighed softly, then quickly turned his gaze forward toward the future calling him. Ethan to himself, eyes bright, I'll start over. This is my chance to become who I want to be. Ethan's journey began on that rickety bus, but to him, it was a giant leap. Leaving behind the stifling family air, he dreamed of a vibrant college life, new friends, and perhaps a love that could erase old wounds. The red brick buildings, sprawling lawns, and cool breeze made Ethan feel like he'd stepped into another world. He enrolled in a business administration program, hoping to gain skills for independence. In those early, bewildering days, Ethan busied himself adapting to schedules, the bustling campus, and countless new faces. One late afternoon, Ethan went to the library for research. The quiet space, faint smell of old paper and soft yellow light put him at ease. While focused on the computer, he heard a flustered voice, female voice soft, hesitant. Sorry, could you show me how to find a book's call number? He looked up, meeting the clear brown eyes of Olivia. She wore a beige sweater, hair neatly tied up, cheeks faintly flushed with shyness. Ethan smiled instantly, his heart fluttering at her gentle demeanor. Ethan calmly, standing, Oh, sure, I'm searching too, so I can show you. What book are you looking for? Olivia smiling lightly, eyes sparkling. I need materials on social psychology. My class just assigned an essay, so I've got a lot to look up. Ethan cheerfully, Let's go together, it's in the back corner. They walked side by side through the silent aisles, chatting softly. From their initial exchange, Ethan saw Olivia was not only smart, but also thoughtful and kind. She made him feel safe, a stark contrast to the chaos and drama he'd known. From that moment, a thread of fate seemed to tie them together. After a few chance meetings, Ethan and Olivia grew close. One evening after class, they stopped by a cozy cafe with soothing jazz music. Olivia sat across from Ethan, fiddling with her steaming latte, her eyes shyly meeting his. Olivia hesitant, sincere. Ethan, I think you're really special. You're so focused on your studies, but you also care about others. Different from those who just party all the time. Ethan smiling, warm. I'm not good with words, but since meeting you, I've felt happier. I want to share more with you, about my family, my past. He paused at the mention of family, old pain still lingering. Yet, Olivia's empathetic gaze eased him. Olivia gently touching his hand. We've got a long road ahead to understand each other. If you're ready, I'll listen. In that moment, their hearts drew closer. Day by day, their love became a steady anchor, helping Ethan overcome his insecurities. Joining extracurriculars, study groups, and exploring the city together, Ethan felt for the first time the simple yet sweet joy of life. 4 years of college flew by. Ethan and Olivia graduated with flying colours. At the ceremony, as Ethan stood on stage, his eyes scanned the sea of students for Olivia. Their gazes met, radiant with love. Soon after, on a romantic evening by the lake, Ethan proposed. Ethan kneeling, hands trembling with the ring. Olivia, you've given me strength to escape my past. Will you marry me? Olivia, teary-eyed, hand to her mouth, Yes, Ethan. They held a simple yet warm wedding. Under twinkling golden lights, friends and professors celebrated the newlyweds. Standing at the altar, Ethan's heart felt warmer than ever. He vowed to himself, I'll build a happy family where my kids never face the unfairness I did. After the wedding, Ethan and Olivia moved into a small suburban apartment. Their life flowed peacefully, with mornings brewing coffee together and evenings watching movies under a cozy blanket. They worked and strived to build a solid financial foundation. Then joy burst forth when Olivia announced she was pregnant. Olivia beaming, hand on her belly. Ethan, I've got good news. I'm having a baby. Ethan hugging her, voice choked. Oh my God, really? I don't know what to say. I'm so happy. From that moment, they planned for their little family's future. Ethan bought books on pregnancy care, attended prenatal classes, while Olivia watched nutrition videos. Both eagerly awaited their little angel's arrival. It seemed the painful past was fading as Ethan felt his life turn a warm, new page. Each day he came home smiling, cooking, and checking on Olivia and the baby. Everything felt perfect, but fate often tests people when they least expect it. In quiet nights, Ethan sometimes jolted awake, sweating. He dreamed of Ryan's mocking face and his mother shrugging off his old pleas. Though he'd left his family behind, he hadn't truly forgotten. He hid his unease from Olivia, not wanting her to worry, but sometimes the past voice echoed in his subconscious like a warning. Something terrible still awaited him ahead. Ethan musing, staring out the night window. Is everything too smooth? Should I try reconciling with my family before the baby's born? Or just let it all go? He considered calling his mother or even Ryan to share the news of the coming grandchild. But recalling the cruel memories, he hesitated. Olivia noticed his slight unease but thought it was just nerves about fatherhood. Olivia gently patting his shoulder. Honey, don't stress too much. I know you'll be an amazing dad. And if you need help with family stuff, just tell me, okay? Ethan smiling, hugging her. Thanks, Olivia. With you, I believe I can get through anything. It seemed happiness was knocking at Ethan's door as he and Olivia navigated the exciting pregnancy, preparing to welcome their first child. They'd built a peaceful home where laughter and joy seemed to bury past hurts. But fate is often ironic, ready to hurl people into a vortex of pain just as they grasp peace. One gloomy afternoon, Olivia confessed a horrifying secret that could topple Ethan's world. She'd had an affair, and the man was Ryan, the brother Ethan despised to his core. Raindrops pattered against the glass, creating a mournful sound. Olivia huddled on the sofa, hands clasped tightly, her face pale as if tormented by unbearable guilt. Before her, Ethan stood silent, eyes vacant with disbelief. Ethan stunned. Hoarse, what did you just say? I didn't hear wrong, did I, Olivia? Olivia trembling, faltering. I'm sorry, Ethan, but it's possible our son might not be yours. Her words crashed like a hammer into Ethan's mind. He stood rooted, eyes wide, arms limp, speechless. His heart pounded, sharp pangs radiating through his chest. Questions swirled, overlapping with no escape. Ethan, deep breath, strained. You had an affair with who? Olivia, tears welling. That's the worst part. It was Ryan. Ryan's name from Olivia's lips made Ethan stagger. This wasn't just marital betrayal. It was an invasion, a destruction of the fragile trust Ethan had in life. His lips tightened, his gaze shifting from shock to rage, then to emptiness. The scene fades to a pale grey, depicting Olivia sitting across from Ryan in a small cafe corner while Ethan was busy with a school project. They laughed, Ryan's eyes glinting with smugness, Olivia seeming to unburden her heart. At first, it might have been friendliness, but their gestures soon crossed boundaries. An accidental touch, a complicit smile. Then the scene blurs to them kissing in the dark of a parking garage before Olivia drove home to Ethan. Ryan, who always saw Ethan as a rival, seemed to deliberately exploit Olivia's kindness. Initially, Olivia just wanted to help Ryan understand Ethan, hoping to mend their rift. But gradually, she was drawn into Ryan's dangerous charm, unaware the wicked thread would strangle her future. Ethan stepped back, then sank into an armchair, head bowed as if all strength had drained away. Fury surged within him, mingled with bitterness and endless humiliation. Ethan hoarse, broken. I trusted you completely. I never thought you could do this. And with Ryan, the one who ruined my childhood, Olivia sobbing, kneeling beside him. Ethan, I know I was wrong. I'm sorry. I don't dare hope for forgiveness, but I had to tell the truth. I can't keep living a lie. Ethan looked up, eyes bloodshot with despair. He stared at his wife, once his safe harbor, now a knife piercing his heart. Ethan coldly, "Why only now? Why not sooner? Why didn't you stop, Olivia?" Olivia, voice breaking, I I was scared. I was cowardly, afraid of losing you, losing our peaceful life. But when I realized the baby might be Ryan's, I couldn't hide it anymore. I truly wanted you to know, to give me a chance to atone. She buried her head in Ethan's lap, sobbing. Her cries echoed in the silent room, cutting deeper into their shared pain. Ethan pushed her away, stood and paced like a wounded animal. Each step was heavy, tormented by unstable emotions. His eyes swept over the family photo on the wall, him and Olivia holding their newborn, beaming with joy. Now it felt like a cruel joke reminding him of a family that might never have been his. Ethan gritting teeth, trembling. "Ryan, my own brother did this to his own flesh and blood. I hate him. He stole my childhood, now my wife, my child. No, I can't take it." His thoughts spiraled, rage intertwining with anguish. He longed to scream, to smash something to release the despair, yet felt oddly hollow. Everything he'd lived for, hoped for, dissolved into foam in an instant. Olivia grabbing his hand, pleading, "Ethan, say something, hit me, yell at me, just don't stay silent like this. I'm scared." Ethan brushing her off, tears streaming. "Don't touch me. You betrayed me. Everything between us means nothing now." Olivia said the son Ethan had cherished and raised might be Ryan's. It was another stab to his heart. His entire view of his family crumbled. Olivia choking. "Ethan, I'm not sure. We need a test, but I think you deserve to know I can't keep deceiving you." Ethan swayed like a drunk, gripping the chair to steady himself. His breathing faltered, mind reeling. Ethan staring into the distance. The baby, my son, if he's not mine, have I been living a delusion all these years? God, why is this so cruel? His mind flashed to his son playing innocently, laughing and calling him daddy, with a toddler's pure trust. He recalled the first time he held him, brimming with pride and emotion. Now it all felt like a deceitful play, sinking him deeper into despair. Olivia bowed her head, tears streaming. She couldn't defend herself. She knew her affair was an unforgivable sin. Yet she still loved Ethan, still saw him as her rock. Confessing the truth was both her liberation and her loss. She looked at him with pained eyes, clinging to a faint hope he'd let her make amends. Olivia shaking, "I know I've no right to ask, but please don't abandon the child, if he's truly yours. We could," Ethan cutting in, icy, "Enough, I don't want to hear more, you've ruined my life. Whether he's mine or not, I can't look at him the same. Every time I see him, I'll see your sin with Ryan." Olivia collapsed, sobbing. The room froze, heavier and more tragic than ever. After that devastating blow, Ethan decided to leave. He couldn't bear living with the wife he'd once loved wholeheartedly, now a stranger due to her brutal betrayal. He packed a few clothes, tossed them into his old suitcase, and glanced at Olivia one last time. She stood by the door, eyes red, about to speak but ultimately silent. Ethan choked, torn. "I thought we'd grow old together. But now it's over. Olivia, I need time to keep living." Olivia crying silently. "Ethan, I go. I know I don't deserve to hold you back." He stepped out, slamming the door, carrying a shattered heart. In the quiet hallway, his footsteps echoed alone, like the stifled sobs of a man who'd lost everything. After the shattering confession from Olivia, Ethan entered a long stretch of days teetering between hatred and pain. Things grew messier when he decided to take a DNA test to uncover the truth about the child he'd always believed was his son. He hoped by some miracle the boy was still his flesh and blood. But reality rarely bends to wishes. The results in Ethan's hands were the final knife thrust into his trust. Faint fluorescent light bathed the silent space. Ethan sat on the sofa, surrounded by scattered instant noodle boxes and water bottles. His eyes were shadowed from sleepless nights, his mind trapped in an obsession with the cruel betrayal. On the table lay a sealed envelope, its corner stamped with the lab's logo. Ethan took a deep breath, steadying himself before tearing it open. Inside was a stark white sheet with a bold line, "No DNA match paternity, 0%. His hands trembled, his heart hammering as if to break free. A jolt shot through him and he bit his lip to stifle a cry. Ethan, whispering, choked. "So, it's clear now I'm not the father." A heavy silence enveloped him, the past replayed like a slow-motion film, holding his son in the hospital, tears of joy playing together, hearing Daddy, in that sweet, lisping voice. Now it all blurred, a dream invaded by a nightmare, waking him in agony. Rage flared, igniting Ethan. Unable to hold back, he grabbed his phone and dialed Ryan. It rang. Ryan's voice answered, mildly surprised. Ryan, lazily. "Hello, who's this?" Ethan gritting teeth, restraining fury. "It's me, Ethan." A brief pause, then Ryan's mocking chuckle. Ryan sneering, "Oh, my dear big brother. What, wanna fight or preach at me again?" Ethan shaking with anger. Do you know what you've done? You've destroyed my life. The kid, he's not mine, is he?" Ryan burst into laughter, not bothering to hide his arrogance. Ryan taunting, "She chose me because I'm better than you, because I could give her what you're too weak to offer. Hurts, doesn't it?" Ethan choking, gripping the phone. "You bastard. If you think that proves your worth, you're wrong. You're just a filthy, immoral creep. I won't let this slide." Ryan's laughter continued, unrepentant. Ryan laughter fading, cold. "What'll you do? Tell Mom and Dad to cut me off again? Go ahead. I've got nothing left to lose." He hung up before Ethan could reply. The beeping pierced his ears, leaving him seething. He hurled the phone onto the couch, hands clutching his head, longing to smash something to vent his fury. But he inhaled deeply, telling himself rage wouldn't fix this. It was time to confront it head on. Late at night, with streets nearly empty, Ethan's heart still pounded as if to burst. Car headlights cut through the dark, guiding him back to the house of his childhood memories with Ryan, a place of pain and injustice. Now his parents were the only refuge he dared trust. He resolved to tell them everything, DNA proof in hand. His parents jolted awake at the sound of the car and urgent knocking. His mother threw on a robe and opened the door. Seeing Ethan's grim face, she faltered. Mother worried. "Ethan? My God, it's so late, what's wrong?" Father emerging, frowning. "You're worrying us, Ethan. Why are you here at this hour?" Ethan inhaled deeply, holding back tears, and handed them the DNA report. His father opened it, scanned it briefly, and froze. Father disbelieving. No match, you, the child, isn't yours." Mother paling. "Ethan, what does this have to do with Ryan?" Her question made Ethan clench his fists. He saw her tension. He laid it all bare. Olivia's affair, the child possibly being Ryan's shameless words on the phone. The words stung like needles, but he knew he had to face it to purge the lies. Ethan rushed, choked. "I've had enough." "Ryan, he's not sorry, he's proud he took everything from me. Mom, Dad, I need justice." His mother stepped back, clutching the table to steady herself. Her eyes were stunned, while his father gritted his teeth, veins bulging. Father low, furious. "That Ryan he dared? All this time I thought he was just hot-headed, impulsive. But this is a crime. He's torn apart his own brother's happiness." Mother sobbing. "Ethan, I can't believe Ryan would. Oh God, I spoiled him too much. He hurt you like this. I've failed you." Emotions erupted. His mother's trembling arms wrapped around Ethan for the first time in years. He felt a mother's true warmth. His father, usually reserved, gripped Ethan's shoulder, a silent apology. In the dead of night, guilt, resentment, fury, and pain collided, leaving the three of them standing there, dazed. The next morning, his father called Ryan repeatedly, but he didn't answer. Each unanswered ring fueled his anger. Finally, his parents went to Ryan's rented place. It was empty. He'd vanished, likely knowing Ethan would expose him. Mother sighing bitterly. He's gone. Where did he run to this time? Father eyes scanning. Let's see how long he can hide. He'll face the consequences he deserves. His father's anger mixed with profound disappointment. He'd once seen Ryan as hope, a younger version of himself. Now it all crashed down, revealing his second son's ruthless, immoral nature. That afternoon, at his parents' house, his father pulled a thick folder from the cabinet: property deeds, wills, inheritance papers. He sat looking at Ethan with resolve. Father slowly, "You know we've saved our whole lives for you and your brother. But now I can't let someone like Ryan inherit anything. All our assets will go to you. If Ryan wants something, he'll get one symbolic dollar, so in court he can't claim we disowned him unfairly." His mother nodded, for once not defending Ryan. Mother sighing sadly. "I can't shield Ryan anymore. He has to face what he's done. Ethan, you may not need our money, but this is our way of giving you justice and punishing Ryan." Ethan sat silent, emotions swirling. He didn't care much for money. What he'd craved was love, recognition. Still, this shift eased him. At least his parents saw Ryan's true colours and stood by him finally, though perhaps too late. Ethan meeting their eyes, hoarse. "I don't know how to say it, but thank you for understanding. I hope this ends here. I'm exhausted." The window curtains swayed in the breeze. His father stood in the room's centre, face etched with unprecedented fury. In the corner, Ryan slumped against the wall, eyes blank. His mother stood quietly nearby, gripping a chair, her face bewildered but silent. Father firm, sharp. "From today you're no longer my son. I'm stripping you of your inheritance. All assets, the house, everything, it's Ethan's. You don't deserve a cent." His father's voice rang like a final gavel on Ryan's fate. The man who'd unconditionally sheltered Ryan through his youth could tolerate no more. Ryan bowed his head, face drained of colour. Ryan trembling, mumbling, "Dad, how could you?" He looked up, eyes bloodshot. The usual arrogance vanished, replaced by despair. His mother gazed bitterly at the son she'd once doted on, now left with nothing. But she knew no excuse could save him. Father still cold. "I've indulged you enough. You show no remorse. You made your brother lose all faith in family. You dared steal his wife and gloated it was your right. Now you pay." Ryan buried his face, hands clutching his head. He sat silent, unable to muster a defense. His father's storm of rage engulfed him, making him realize this wasn't a nightmare he could wake from and erase. His parents exchanged a look, both grasping the irreparable damage. After his father left, his mother turned away without a glance back. In the living room, Ryan remained, head sunk into a cushion. He seemed utterly lost, as if a gust could blow away the last scraps of his pride. Through the window, dim twilight cast a gloomy shadow over the solitary figure of the son once most beloved. Ryan to himself, broken. Was I wrong? But why? I just wanted to prove I'm better than him. He flipped through childhood memories. Mornings his mother hugged him, meals where he got the best portions, how his father pushed Ethan to be strong, while Ryan only needed to be cute. That favoritism bred in Ryan the belief he was above his brother, entitled to everything. Now, the price for that arrogance was an irredeemable collapse. After uncovering the full truth, Ethan knew he had no place in a marriage marred by betrayal. He returned to the home he and Olivia had built, quietly packing. Cardboard boxes piled up in the living room, once adorned with wedding photos and warm mementos. Each item he touched stirred a beautiful memory, now tainted with bitterness. Ethan muttering, eyes empty, "I dreamed of a real family, a home I never had as a kid, yet it was all an illusion." Ah, soft footsteps sounded. Olivia appeared at the door, face gaunt, eyes swollen from crying since Ethan chose separation. Seeing him pack, her heart clenched. Olivia sobbing, "Ethan, you're really leaving. I beg you, don't abandon me. I know I messed up. I can fix it. Start over if you give me a chance." Ethan paused, turning to face her. Emotions clashed. Lingering love, anger, and sorrow. He remembered sleepless nights caring for their son, joyful moments cooking together. But he couldn't forget the brutal truth. She'd cheated with his brother, and the child he adored wasn't his. The shock was too great, his trust shattered. Ethan, deep breath, hoarse, "Olivia, I can't go on. I don't trust anything you say anymore. You want forgiveness, but I don't have the courage to forgive. I have to go." Olivia broke down, collapsing, clutching his shirt, but Ethan gently pulled away, turning toward the door. Rain suddenly poured outside, wind howling through the window, mirroring their broken hearts. Ethan stepped out, carrying memories and deep wounds. Behind him, Olivia wailed, begging for a shred of hope, but his heart was numb, feeling only emptiness and grievance. He didn't reply, didn't look back, just walked to the car parked curbside. Olivia crying desperately, "Ethan, please don't leave me." No response came. The car door slammed shut, and Ethan drove off, leaving Olivia's small figure kneeling in the wet dirt in the rearview mirror. His heart felt weighed by stone, but he knew staying would deepen the wound. This was the only way to free them both, though the pain was unavoidable. Back at his parents' house, Ethan felt hollow. His mother hugged him, while his father silently patted his shoulder, wordless. They understood Ethan had lost too much: an unfair childhood, a broken marriage, even faith in kinship destroyed. Father low, guilty. "Rest easy, son. I'll transfer all assets to you. Ryan, he's gone too far. He'll face life on his own. We can't save him anymore." Ethan shook his head, closing his eyes. He didn't crave wealth. He needed comfort, a last anchor in this harsh world. Still, his father's punishment for Ryan brought some justice. At least Ryan would pay for his unforgivable sins. A week later, Ethan moved to a small apartment in the city outskirts. Using his savings and some help from his father, he focused on rebuilding his life. It might take years to erase the scars from his shattered marriage and Ryan's horrific betrayal. On moving day, his mother teared up seeing him off, while his father's quiet gaze showed trust. They hoped he'd find peace in a new place where he could heal and start anew. Mother, holding his hand, choked. "My boy, take care of yourself. Don't torment yourself anymore. I'm sorry for everything." Father patting his shoulder, firm. "You deserve happiness. Trust in yourself. I'll back you unconditionally." Ethan nodded, saying little. He bid farewell, loading his old car. His eyes held a trace of sadness, but he looked to the horizon aglow with dawn. He knew overcoming this pain would be tough, yet he wouldn't turn back, wouldn't fall. He'd learned a costly lesson about deceit, family, and self-respect. Ethan stood by the window of his quaint new apartment, gazing at the city's twinkling lights. Fresh air slipped through the crack, carrying a hint of warmth for a new life. He breathed deeply, chest lighter than ever. Free of family pressure and a broken marriage, he began rediscovering himself. On a wooden shelf by the sofa, Ethan carefully framed old photos. One showed him and Olivia in college, faces bright with dreams. Another captured the family in their garden, Ryan's arm around Ethan as if no rift existed. Now they were just memories marking a bitter time, but also showing how he'd grown from it. Ethan checked his phone, eyes lighting up at an email. A job offer for a project manager position at a company, matching his skills and passion. Months ago, he'd thought he'd collapse from the betrayal, but therapy and his parents' support guided him forward. A steady job, his own place, and the quiet he needed to heal. Ethan smiling to himself. I'm not that weak boy anymore. I believe in my abilities and won't let the past weigh me down. In the kitchen, he grabbed a fruit juice from the fridge. Cooking and eating alone became a simple joy. Living solo meant no one to please, no need to endure or fear petty tricks like before. He learned to love himself instead of seeking it from the unworthy. As Ethan savored the calm, his phone buzzed. Ryan flashed on the screen, stirring a moment of unease, no longer wild rage nor pity. Though their father cut Ryan's inheritance, he kept reaching out, likely begging for help. But Ethan had chosen to sever that toxic tie. Ethan looking at the screen, calm. No, I won't bail him out this time. He silenced it, setting the phone aside. Ryan had nothing left, no family, no job, no pride, but that was the consequence of his destructive cruelty. Ethan set the juice down, easing into a chair. He closed his eyes, a faint smile forming. His life's tragic pages had closed. Now he could write new ones filled with hope, where he controlled his future and happiness. Outside, the city lights glimmered, symbolizing countless opportunities and joys awaiting him. Sometimes betrayers don't deserve forgiveness. Sometimes the best we can do for ourselves is let go, letting them bear their mistakes' consequences. Ethan chose that path, shedding the past, embracing a future where he found peace after all the storms.